Welcome back to Amazin But True, our New York Mets podcast from the New York Post. I am your host, Jake Brown. Make sure you subscribe to that New York Post Sports YouTube page to watch full episodes of the show, Apple, Spotify, Google, Amazon, wherever you get podcasts. To listen to Amazin But True, I'll be joined in just a little bit by a friend of mine. We've never linked up, but finally she will come on the show because the Mets do go to Boston this weekend to face the Red Sox, and she is a diehard Sox fan. She's always at Fenway, and she does a great sports betting content with BetQL with Odyssey Sports. Lucy Burdge is going to join me in just a bit on the trip to Boston that I probably am not making anymore. I was trying to make, but the Mets have been frustrating, and it is expensive to go there and finding somewhere to stay and getting there and back. It is just too much of a hassle. So a slight chance I go Saturday, but likely not going to make the trip to Boston. And partially because this team is incredibly infuriating to watch. You almost forget Thursday that they won Tuesday and Wednesday because they just can't score Thursday. And Drew Smith freaking sucks. I mean, how the hell is Drew Smith, folks, charged with just one run? I know Pete Alonso makes the error. He's got to make that play. And Pete Alonso is right around 200 right now. It is very alarming watching him play baseball. He's hitting 204. He makes that error. Drew Smith ends up imploding. 3 hits, a walk later. It's 4 runs in total. And those are the difference. Listen, the offense is to blame for Thursday. They did not hit enough on Thursday. I mean, Omar Narvaez was their offense with his first homer as a Met, which took till July 20th, by the way. This guy got a 2-year, $15 million deal. I know he's hurt for a bit, and hasn't really played. But, man, what a fall from grace for Omar Narvaez, who was supposed to be the Mets starting catcher. Now you'd be a clown to replace Francisco Alvarez, whose month of July has just been remarkable. But, the offense didn't do enough, and I get that. But my God, Drew Smith, you want to talk about Buzz Killington. Every time he goes out there, he gives up runs. I said phantom IL trip. I tweeted at Jake Brown Radio, and everyone replies and quotes it with, how about real IL trip forever, or DFA, as Frank the Tank tweeted me. And they're not wrong. You're probably not going to DFA him just because their bullpen is not very good, and there's not many options. But can you make up shoulder inflammation or something and just send him packing for a while? Because I am so sick and tired of watching Drew Smith. He stinks. Sticky stuff ain't helping. No sticky stuff. He is not a good relief pitcher. And what we keep saying is Billy Eppler building him as a big piece of this bullpen was alarming. And once Edwin Diaz went down, Drew Smith's role got bigger. And Jose Quintana making his season debut today, I thought he was fine. I mean, if I thought he could have went out there for the 6. He was at 77 pitches, no walks, good job with command, 6 hits, soft hit contact, 2 runs, 3 Ks. So a strong debut for Quintana, and that's what you want out of him. But I mean, 77 pitches, I thought he could have got to 85. At least let him, there's too much of these pulling guys and making them feel good about themselves. Put him out there for another inning, a couple of batters, and see what happens. Get him to 85 pitches, maybe it's 2 batters, and then bring someone else in. But the Drew Smith show has got to end. It really does. It is just so hard watching him pitch. And for the Mets offense, this team here with 11 days now until the trade deadline, they're limping into that deadline. They're limping into Fenway Park this weekend. Or I guess they're taking Tylenol to Fenway Park. I don't know. Starling Marte, migraines. He is now on the IL. He won't be able to come back now, as that was retroactive to the 17th until next Thursday, which is the final series before that trade deadline as the Nationals come to Citi Field. It's 3 in Boston. It's 2 Yankees, Subway Series in the Bronx. And then 4 against the Nationals. And then the trade deadline before they go to Kansas City. And Tommy Pham makes it to the game on Thursday, as it seems like maybe hurt that groin again. I mean, Tommy Pham, the Mets continue to just waste roster spots. Now, if Pham is hurt, IL trip him. Like if he can't play, can't run, you got to put him on the IL. And what other things have to happen here for the Mets to call up Ronny Mauricio? Starling Marte's going to the IL. Tommy Pham's hurt. Do not call up Danny Mendick. Please. Whatever you do, for the life of me, do not call up Danny Mendick. Now, Mark Vientos was pulled from Syracuse's lineup Thursday, so it might be Mark Vientos coming up here again, which I'm fine with. You know, we'd love to see Mark Vientos again. But what other injury has to happen? Because if Ronny Mauricio is not going to the Boston with the Mets, it means they're waiting till the trade deadline to call him up. And they're doing all they can here to hold him until August, when maybe 4 guys are gone, when Robertson may be gone, when Pham may be gone if he's healthy. You know, I don't know if a team's going to trade for him if he's on the IL. Now, if he were to put it on the IL tomorrow, he'd be to come back for the 31st of the first and be ready for whatever new team he would go to. But what else has to call? I mean, what else has to happen? And intern Nick Guzman tells me Vientos is getting called up per Andy Martino. So Mark Vientos will get the call. I assume he's replacing Marte, and the Marte IL decision happened right as the game was starting, pretty much. You know, they were thinking he could be good to potentially play in Boston, but now he's on the IL. So it will be Mark Vientos getting his second shot here. You know, he showed some signs, but again, didn't play. It's time to play him. They're unsure if Tommy Pham will go to the IL, but Vientos is here. He'll replace Marte, and then if Pham goes to the IL, give me Mauricio. Enough of defense this, defense that. DJ Stewart dropped the ball in right field. I'm sure Ronny Mauricio will be fine. A real chance here, and, you know, it was nice to win those 2 games, but a real chance for the Mets to get within 6 and maybe give you some life going into Boston. 6 games, you know, a solid Red Sox team, a Yankee team that is struggling mightily, and then a last place Nationals team. You're thinking maybe we could get around 500. They came in today 5 games under. Now they're 6, but they lose. Phillies lost. They could have been within 6. Now they're 7 games back, and a real chance thrown right out the window. The good news this week, you know, like I said, Quintana was good. Verlander was vintage Verlander Wednesday. He was fantastic. And Tuesday, they scored 11 runs. I mean, Tuesday's win, you almost just, you breathe a sigh of relief. It was 11-4. It became 11-10 with the tying run at third and the lead run at second in the 9th inning. And Robertson got out of it. So, you were, you know, just a deep breath of fresh air that they pulled that off, because they almost collapsed. I want to talk about bad relievers. They trade for Trevor Gott. He has just been awful too. Tuesday, I was lucky enough, thanks to Cadillac. They put me in the Cadillac Club Tuesday, and I sat with Mr. and Mrs. Figueroa. So Figgy's parents, and we had a blast. Mr. Figueroa, you know, a passionate fan, was high-fiving them. He was telling me stories. Great people, the Figueroas. Maybe I like Mr. Figueroa Sr. more than Junior. Figgy will never know, because I don't think he listens to these Thursday episodes. Maybe he does. We'll find out on Monday if he does. But yeah, great time in there. You had the mozzarella frites. I was having wine, Blue Moon, Diet Coke. They had meatball sliders. They had fries. I didn't have a hot dog. They had these chicken, I think it was like chicken marsala skewers that were very good. Yeah, chicken fingers. I had some of those. So it was eating good in the hood in the Cadillac Club and the Speakeasy. It is beautiful in there. Definitely worth it. And it'll be cheaper, I'm sure, on the secondary market if people want to go in August, September. It's worth trying it for a game. It's fun. It feels like you're on the field. I know people say the fence isn't great. I like it down there, but it's a good time. So that was good. Stewart homered. Alvarez, Beatty came around with homers in back-to-back days. You know, like I said, Wednesday, Verlander was vintage Verlander. Nimmo's been hitting the ball well. You know, there's some good things happening, but overall, you're 6 games under, you're 7 out, Pham's hurt, Martis to the IL. Now, Buck, you're in call Vientos here. Play him. Play him every day. Put him at DH. Enough of Vogelback. Enough of Guillorme. Give me Vientos. You wish Vientos could play a little second here, because if you could put Beatty at one, Vientos the other, you'd be in a better position, I think, to have some versatility. But if Pham's out, you're going to have to move some things around here, unless Vientos is going to play left or Beatty plays left. Beatty has played left, but he's not great defensively. It's going to be interesting to see how they work this going into Boston, what they do with the lineup. 45-51, 66 games to go. 3 Boston, 2 Yankees, 4 Nats. You got 9 games left to the trade deadline, and 7-2 would get you over 500 and get you to maybe kind of be buyers, as it depends what the other teams do. But we'll see what these Mets got. Red Sox are playing pretty well. They're one of the best offenses of baseball right now, and this will be a good series at Fenway Park this weekend. And to talk about this weekend at Fenway Park, we'll be joined next here on Amazin But True by a girl who loves to go to Fenway Park and he talks sports betting at BetQL. Lucy Burdge is joining me next. We're back, Amazin But True podcast. Jake Brown at Jake Brown Radio at Amazin But True with a special guest in the building coming from Beantown, Lucy Burdge of BetQL Odyssey Sports. Check her out. Follow her on Twitter at Lucille Burdge. Now, your full name is Lucille, correct?
Correct. Yes. The person who the wonderful person who took Lucy Burdge will forever be blocked and reported by me, because I wanted that account so badly. It's too late now, I think, to switch, but that person really catapulted the Lucille Burdge brand. Yes.
I wanted to add Jake Brown, but Jake Brown's a much more common name than Lucy Burdge. And he said he's got offers for like thousands. I'm like, I'm not giving you $1,000 for a Twitter name. But there's a few Jake Browns. I know the one on Instagram just got drafted by the Royals is a Jake Brown. So I've talked with him. So my brother from another mother, unfortunately, I was only good at eating and not pitching. And we were talking about, you got to make your city field trip to eat Fenway Park this weekend. What are you like? If I do end up going on Saturday, which is like 50-50, besides the Fenway Frank, Lucy, what are we eating at Fenway Park?
You know what is the other second? It goes Fenway Frank, and then you know what? No, chicken tenders. They have it's debatable of people don't like the chicken tenders. Some people do. I adore them because it pairs well with the Pinot Grigio that they have at the park, which is in a can, which I also really like it. They always offer you the wine little cup or the can. And I always just take just the can. I think it's perfect for a ballpark, but that's the only place I've ever seen it in a can. So I'm super boring when I go to Fenway and eat stuff. So it is that or a pretzel. Not only pretzel, unsalted pretzel is what I do.
I actually don't mind an unsalted pretzel. I'm with you. I think they're underrated. I don't, because the overdose of salt kind of ruins it, and then it's spilling in your face. Then I get a pretzel in my beard, and
you get salt in your hair. It's like a whole thing. I know that's my issue, but it's like a whole, like you want it to keep it as simple as possible. That's why I go Fenway Frank, no toppings, or pretzel, no salt, or chicken tenders, dip it in nothing with French fries.
So this is like the polar opposite of Citi Field. This is why you need to go to Citi, because I'm literally eating cinnamon sugar pretzels with icing, lobster rolls, like chicken parm heroes, and here you are eating a raw chicken finger, a raw hot dog, and that's it. So
this is literally the opposite, because as soon as like food at Fenway it probably is better than but I stick with those 3 things. So I don't branch out into they have lobster rolls, they have things like that, but it is nothing like Citi Field. You don't see the food at Fenway being tweeted out like at Citi Field. It is so Instagrammable, first of all, but I need to come to Citi Field, make my second trip ever to Citi Field to get the milkshake with the donut on top. I am pumped to get that. Also, the cinnamon thing that you were eating looks absolutely delicious, and I need a boozy bucket. I need my own boozy bucket with the handle. Carrying that around, it's going to be like splashing around, but that is hysterical to me. The fact that they even have that because this is the season to have that. I would say, I'm sorry, the Mets are having a tough time, but the boozy bucket, I think, is so appropriate for right now. This is boozy bucket season.
Listen, Citi Field's milkshake indeed does bring boys to the yard, and girls, and it's beautiful. Now I've said on this show, I'm slowly becoming lactose intolerant. I will eat cheese, but milkshake gets to me. So you got to carry lactate pills around, which I've only had when I had my wisdom teeth out when I had ice cream. So I haven't like dabbled too much into the lactate department.
Yeah.
Got to be careful saying that word. You miss a letter or two. It changes meaning completely. But
yeah, well, I now have my Instagram caption for when I take my picture with my milkshake donut. Like, milkshakes bring all the girls to the ball yard. Something like that. We'll workshop that.
I take partial credit for that one. But yes, the I believe it's a rum bucket. Now they emailed me today. It was only fitting that the Mets drove me to drink. They're sending me a bottle of whiskey. It's like they partner with the Mets, Hudson whiskey. And I immediately had like 10 people be like, that's my favorite whiskey. Get me a bottle. I'm like, they give me one bottle. I'm not going to cut the bottle in eighths and give you all a shot. I guess
you're the Whiskey Connect.
Party at the Browns. Yeah, I guess I got a whiskey plug, even though I'm a vodka, white wine, high noon guy. I'm like a basic bitch, as they say, when it comes to totally. Drinking. Just white wine and claws and high noons. Which you'll have to drink this weekend at Fenway Park as the Mets take on the Red Sox. You got one underachieving team in the Mets, and arguably, Lucy, an overachieving team in your Red Sox, who are 51-46 ahead of the last place Yankees. Let me say that again because I really enjoy it. Last place Yankees. Who would have thought your Red Sox starting the season? They came in, what was it? 78.5 was the number.
Yeah, that was the total. But I got them at over 80 wins ahead of the start of the season. So now it's up to 83.5 as last I saw it. I'm taking the over on that too.
And listen, this is one of the best offenses in baseball. Are you shocked with what you've seen, and should we be worried as Mets fans this weekend?
You should be very worried as Mets fans. I will say the Mets are my National League team. My mom grew up a huge Mets fan, so it is tough for me to see the Mets doing so poorly. However, I will have to support the Red Sox. I will be in the building tomorrow night to see Kodai Senga against Cutter Crawford, who I'm a fan of Cutter Crawford. So he follows me on Instagram, and I've talked to Cutter Crawford. So I think that I will be rooting for him. And Kodai Senga, he was my pick for something. It NL could not have been. No, it was something before the season. Not so much anymore. So I am rooting for the Red Sox, although it hurts my heart. Although I am excited to see the Mets in person, because the last time I saw them in person was Citi Field in 2019. So I haven't seen them in years up close. And it was the 69 Mets old timers day that day. I went with my mom and my brother, and my mom still talks about that day. The last time I was at Citi Field, she had the best time. It was for Christmas. We got her a record player, and she listened to her 69 Mets record for the first time, she said, in decades. So that was a big day. And we all met the Mets and greeted the Mets, and it was very exciting. But I will have to put all of that aside this weekend to root for the Red Sox, because I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised one bit that this offense is so good, that the vibes are so high. I am I'm impressed by what they've done, but not shocked at all. No.
Yeah, and you got a potential favorite for Rookie of the Year, Masataka Yoshida, 317, 11 homers, 50 RBIs. You got our old redhead sensation, Justin Turner, who I believe is on an 18-game hitting streak.
That's right.
I mean, the bats and vibes are good. I mean, 2.5 out of the wild card in what's a pretty good wild card race in the American League with some good teams there is not too shabby. So going into, about 10, 11 days here to the trade deadline, I got to think the Red Sox are buyers, right?
Yes. Oh, so I am very intrigued to see what they're going to do. Yes, I think they will be buyers. And will it be Shohei Ohtani? Time will tell. I think that would be the biggest thing that has ever happened to this team apart from the 2004 World Series win. He's the greatest baseball player to ever live. So if the Red Sox got Shohei Ohtani, which I don't think will happen, but in my dreams, in my heart, I really, really say yes, it will happen, but realistically, no, it won't happen. But I would think that would be almost too much. Like, it would be so to comprehend it would be too much for him to be, even if he played for the Mets. Is Shohei Ohtani in New York? comprehending that is just beyond your wildest dreams. But could we see it? Maybe. Probably not Boston. But yes, I would think they'd be buyers because they have to do something. Because there is a part of the fan base that is freaking out, and a part of the Fire Heim Bloom fan base that is very disappointed in what is going on. So I
see a lot of that. I see a lot of the Fire Heim Bloom, and I'm like, they're over 500. They got a great offense. You won a World Series, what, 5 years ago? I mean, you got a couple World Series under your belt. I mean, God, I wouldn't. Red Sox are my AL team. I don't follow them as that closely, but not that I want them to win or I'll be happy either way, because the Mets' lives are on the line right now in the next week before the trade deadline. But I would think Red Sox fans should be a little bit more happier. I don't know what the Heim Bloom firing, because I see that all over Twitter, and you get the tweets all the time.
I sure do. And here's the thing. Is that it's the same with the Mets, though. Part of being a fan of these teams is being a masochist and needing something to be mad at and being angry about everything all the time. So if things are going well, you have to say, well, but he put together this team that lost to the Pirates earlier, that got swept by the Pirates earlier this season and lost a series to the Oakland A's. And you have to be mad about that because you need an outlet for it. That's so when the team is doing well or not doing well, Heim Bloom gets all the flack for that because of many reasons that fans can come up with, because they are just angry. And part of that, like when they're not doing well, you get angry. And sometimes it's a little more fun to bathe in the like Frank the Tank type of stuff is like, it makes for a good outlet for getting angry. But it's not fair to pin it all on Heim Bloom because he's doing what he is told to do. I think he is doing what John Henry wants him to do. And that's why I don't think his job's on the line at all. And I think that's probably why he's tuning out all the noise, is because he's doing what he's supposed to do. So, and I think it will pay off in the end.
Yeah. And the pitching is, I mean, for both these teams, for the Mets, Verlander, Scherzer, the starting pitching has really doomed them. The bullpen has doomed them. For the Red Sox, it's the same thing. The offense is A-okay, but, without Chris Sale, with some questionable starting pitching in a bullpen, I think pitching has been your big issue and maybe what people are mad with Bloom about.
Oh, for sure. Because the pitching there's two starters now, maybe two still, but not Brian Bayo anymore, who you can count on. Bayo was a huge disappointment with his last start, was an absolute disaster. Cutter Crawford, though, has kind of come into the picture as his last start was outrageous. He's 9 strikeouts in 6 innings. No, he didn't give up any hits or runs. And so he could take Bayo's place as the only two. It's James Paxton and Cutter Crawford now, I guess, are starters who you can really count on. But both teams have come into some bad luck. Chris Sale, but even before the season with Edwin Diaz, that was where I don't know, but maybe you thought, okay, this season is under duress.
Yes, I was very mad that night. I was screaming and yelling. I was like, I hate the WBC.
Yeah, no, that was a heartbreaker. That's one where screaming and yelling and maybe throwing your TV out the window is appropriate.
Yes, and unfortunately, the rent in New York is too high for me to throw my TV out the window. I got utility bills to pay here in Astoria, Queens. Well, we got a couple good pitching matchups. It'll be Friday night, Senga versus Crawford. And yes, you'll enjoy seeing Senga. You get to see the ghost forkball up close. Yes. Saturday's afternoon game, Scherzer versus Paxton. And then Sunday night baseball. Man, I really wanted to go this weekend because it would have been cool to see a Sunday night, to see you, to see all the people up in Boston. My uncle, the one weekend he's not there is this weekend. He lives out there. So the rent is too damn high. The hotels are too damn high around Boston.
You better believe they are.
And if you ain't bunk bedding with people, you're screwed on your own. The hotel fees are too high. And then Sunday is everyone's favorite, TBD versus Carlos Carrasco. So the primetime audience is not getting the best pitching matchups, but you got good ones Friday, Saturday. How do you see this series playing out, Lucy? Do you guys take 2 out of 3? Do we take 2 out of 3? What happens?
Red Sox sweep. It's gotta be, because this is what they do. They lose a couple games and then they win 5 in a row, and then they lose 3 in a row, and then they win 4 in a row. They just lost 2 in a row. So I think this is a bounce back series and they will sweep the Mets. As much as, that's sad for all of us, it's not as sad for me, but Sunday night baseball would be great. I am excited to see the ghost forkball sitting right behind home plate is where I will be. And these are incredible. So I will see the pitch come right in, and I cannot wait to see that. This is like, the more I think about it, the more its dreams do come true, because to see that up close is going to be absolutely outrageous.
Well, you have tweeted the queen of the dong. So the queen of the dong sitting as close as possible. It doesn't get any better than that.
It's true.
And you just Fenway Park. You're there. You live near there. You're by there. You're home. It's just the aura of the stadium is great. I've been there when I was a kid. My dad won an auction, and I got to sit in the Green Monster seats and go in the field for BP.
Oh
and
my God.
Years later, I could get a credential if I want to be on the field, but I remember David Ortiz's bat was in the dugout. And I just took a picture next to his bat, and it has that vibe to it. This magical baseball vibe. It's not the place where they do like Citi Field, the T-shirt toss. They do giveaways. They do the Ford. You pull the truck in to win a $4,000 off a Ford. It's very much just baseball. Play a song and back to baseball at Fenway, right?
Oh, definitely. I mean, it's my home. Been going there my whole life. I thought about it. The two places that I have been to, returned to every like step of my life, Fenway and my childhood home. Like those are the two. Every different era of my life has been at Fenway. Every kind of emotion or life change, I've been at Fenway, and they felt at Fenway. And so whenever I go there now, my walk to Target is right by Fenway. So I walk by it quite a bit, but going to games, a whole different thing. So whenever I go, it's like you're home. It's very, it is very like you play the organ, then you get back to the game. You sing Sweet Caroline for whatever reason, and then you get back to, I'm not a Sweet Caroline fan.
You can't skip over that fact. That is a somewhat controversial take.
It is.
Explain why you're not a Sweet Caroline fan.
The song is so creepy. It is written about a 10-year-old Caroline Kennedy. She was 10, and he's saying touching you and touching me. It's weird. It is very weird. And I remember even not knowing what the song was about, being there with my family and being like, touching me, touching. I'm like, that's really weird to even sing like as a kid with your parents. It's weird as hell. So I'm just very uncomfortable singing. You know what? It's just not a safe space for me to sing that song. But no, it's I sing it a little and just be like, all right, when is this over? It's so dumb. Take Me Out to the Ball Game, however, great tune. Love it. I will belt the hell out of that song.
Yeah, I mean, Peanuts, Cracker Jacks, or Cracker Jills. They might have to rewrite it now for Cracker Jills. Because
yes, they should. That's how I should sing it from now on.
Yeah, Peanuts and Cracker Jills. It doesn't have the same ring to it. But interesting. I never thought about that with Sweet Caroline, because you're always usually at like just like a bar drunk singing it, and you're just touching the random person that's next to you. So I guess it is kind of weird when you dive into the lyrics. So I think I've heard that from a few diehards who like are sick of it, but then there's the old school fan, I guess, who loves it.
Sick of it's part of it, but also there's the element of there have been times like last season when they are losing, 23-5, let's say, and the middle of the eighth or the end of the eighth comes and you play Sweet Caroline. It's like, I'm not saying this is so good. This is a horrible song to sing right now. And they should, at one point last season, I thought they should replace it with Free Fallin', because that's how badly they had gotten at the end of the season, because that would be perfect. Everyone's singing Free Fallin' near the end of the game. It's just not appropriate when they're losing so badly. They should have two versions of songs they play at that point in the game, where if they're winning by a lot, sure, Sweet Caroline. If they're losing, something more sinister, like Marilyn Manson.
The Mets have an eighth inning karaoke sing along where it's different votes every day. Today it was voted Stacy's Mom. Last night was Wagon Wheel. Billy Joel, Piano Man is the classic they go with a lot. I wanted NSYNC to win last night. It was either It's Gonna Be Me, lost by 1%, to Wagon Wheel.
You're kidding.
Wagon Wheel's fine, but what would you vote for? Wagon Wheel or It's Gonna Be Me?
It's Gonna Be Me.
Yeah,
definitely.
Okay.
I would go Backstreet Boys over NSYNC, but if it's NSYNC or something else, NSYNC by default.
Yeah, and Backstreet Boys' longevity is more impressive, where NSYNC kind of quit early. I always said if NSYNC were going tour now, though, I'd give up my first child that I haven't had yet and give that up to see NSYNC on tour, because I have seen Backstreet Boys. I have seen Backstreet Boys on tour, and they still go on tour, so those tickets aren't hard to get. But if NSYNC were to reunite and go on tour, it could be Taylor Swift level of expensive ticket. Like, I think it'd be right there.
It would be the new era of them, their era's tour, and they could do all. Joey Fatone would be there. If they all were there, that maybe I might do it. Britney Spears was there too.
Yeah, well, I've seen Britney as well. She is fantastic.
Same.
And I just saw the Britney Spears musical. I highly
Oh,
recommend
you did?
Once Upon a One More Time. Yes.
Oh my
Yes.
God.
And now we'll see the
Oh,
Barbie movie this weekend. I might as well be a white girl. It might be
exactly.
it.
It's basic bitch summer. That's what I mean. It's nothing wrong with that. That is my life. So it's
Exactly.
all, yeah. Yeah. I saw Britney when I was in like elementary school, and those were the best times because it's just so like no stress. You just go see Britney, and she's like, everyone be good girls and be nice to your mom and be nice to your teachers and it was just like, wow, life lessons with Britney.
And now she's
It
like,
was
please
really
save me.
sweet.
A lot has changed in Britney Spears' life since then. I saw her when I was like 19.
Yeah.
Anyways, this weekend you're with BetQL. What's some of your best bets? Do you like Jaron Duran 2+ bases? What are some of your go-to bets for Mets Sox as someone who's watched both teams? What are you going to ride with this weekend, you think?
I would say Jaron Duran's definitely in there. And on it, yeah, I'd say bases for sure, but I might even go home run, and I might do either 1 or 2 home run props for tomorrow night, having going to be there. I want to see some home runs. So I would think Justin Turner would be in the mix as well because his bat is hot. And to start the season, I was very shy about taking Devers because he didn't seem so great at the plate. And he was very, very streaky. At some point, it's like, why are they paying this guy so much money? I know he's Raffy Devers and we love him, but it's disappointing to see him strike out with the bases loaded so much. But I might take him over total bases maybe tomorrow night too. In terms of Mets, I mean, Pete Alonso, I would take him maybe, or
I would
Mark
not
Canha.
take him right now. He's hitting 200 and he literally can't hit a lick. He can't field. And he's, as Figgy calls him, he's looking like Dave Kingman with his 2
Yeah.
batting average. I mean, he is due. He did have an RBI single in his last at bat on Thursday, so he could be due for a Fenway Green Monster homer. But
Yeah.
my God, Pete Alonso has been really bad. Strikeouts has been a favorite bet of mine. Saying I don't know how you guys are against right-handed pitching, but team's first time seeing that ghost fork ball. You ladder the strikeouts 7+, 8+, 9+, could be a decent bet.
That's a good point. I would look at Senga's strikeouts and over on that, over on Cutter Crawford strikeouts. Okay. Might be one. Paxton also in his start. Nimmo maybe.
Nimmo's hot. Nimmo's a good bet right now. So I would take Nimmo 2 bases for sure.
Yeah, that's a good one. And I last season I would take Pete Alonso over total bases all the time. He was my total bases king. Now not so much. It's been a tough go for him. Devers too, but this season not so much.
If you could bet under bases, you'd be betting under on Pete Alonso. Unfortunately,
you can.
Can you do under 1.5 bases?
You can do over 1.5 or under 1.5.
I didn't realize that.
But the odds probably aren't as good for under.
I guess you can't parlay that, but you could do it individually.
You could.
Can you? I gotta see.
Pretty sure you can do under home runs as well, but it's like minus. I saw one today that was like minus 25,000. Like it was like
it's not losing. You're losing money at that point.
Yeah, because like Christian Vasquez today was plus 1,200 to hit a home run. So the under home run is going to be very short odds, like insane, like minus 20,000.
I'd probably avoid that. Well, Lucy Burdge will be in the building Friday. It's not looking like I'll make it. We'll see. TBD.
Hope you do.
Follow on Twitter at Lucille Burdge. And if I go, I'm going to eat something better than a chicken finger or a hot dog. I'm sorry.
We'll get something better than that. Don't worry. We'll branch out into maybe the
New
chowders.
England. So, yeah. They have chowder. The lobster roll's got to be better there than is at Citi Field, I would imagine. I imagine you've had it before.
I have not. I'm not a huge fan of lobster. However, nothing like a summer hot chowder to really get your baseball feelings in motion.
You don't have an accent, I feel like. You're from there your whole life, but I feel like maybe some words you say, but I haven't heard too much of an accent.
Well, you know why? I'm from Connecticut.
Ah, that's right. Yes, you were 860 and I'm 203.
Well, yes, 860-203 split. So it's very on the line of Red Sox Yankee territory, and that is why the Mets are the perfect team, because the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Well, we said, I texted you that 203 you said is Metro Soxual, which we need a shirt.
That was you. Credit to you.
And you said 860 was just trees. I guess people are just smoking trees or just chilling by trees, smoking them, looking
the
at
woods.
them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's true too. You could do that. Is probably in the woods. A lot of people do that.
In the trees, smoking trees, and the 860.
Trees, rocks and boulders, and that's trees.
What a world. Up in like the Hartford area, that's 860. I don't know. There's so many parts of Connecticut I didn't even realize existed that people tell me about.
I see new towns all the time.
I lived there 10 years in Newtown. Yes, Newtown.
Oh, there's that one too. Yes, I yes.
Nicely done. Very nice.
There you
Follow her on
go.
Twitter at Lucy Burdge. Check out her bets, BetQL, Odyssey Sports. She does a great job over there. And may the best team win, Lucy. It was good to have you on Amazin But True. And if I don't see you this weekend, I'll see you at Citi Field, hopefully in August.
Yes.
And we'll get you and your mom the buckets and the milkshakes and all the food that Citi Field has to offer.
Yes, we got a plan for Citi Field, and you are the best. Thank you for having me on. And may the best team win, because the best team will.
Shake it out.
Yeah.
Alrighty, that says goodnight to episode 163 of Amazin But True, Mets podcast from the New York Post. Thanks to Lucy Burdge for coming on. Great stuff, high energy, and we'll see if I end up making it there Saturday. We'll try and get some content at the game, and I'll say I'll eat more than a hot dog and chicken fingers. I mean, I get that wherever. I want to try the lobster roll there, considering it's New England. They got to have a better lobster roll than Citi Field, I'd imagine. Clam chowder, I think I've only had maybe once in my life. I don't think I've had it enough, so I can't be the truest clam chowder evaluator. But that'd be good content of me eating a lobster roll and clam chowder up in Boston. Thanks to Andrew Hartz and the intern Nick Guzman for helping me in producing this show. Make sure you subscribe to Amazin But True on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, Amazon, wherever you get podcasts. Give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. Write in a nice review. And if you're watching this, or if you're not, subscribe to the New York Post Sports YouTube page. Watch it there. Follow Amazin But True playlist and get us there. Give us a thumbs up. Let us know below, what should the Mets do at the trade deadline? And can they still turn this thing around? Let us know in the comments, and tweet us at Jake Brown Radio and at Amazin But True. Well, the Mets will take on the Red Sox, and really, this is a huge series for them. If her prediction comes true and the Mets do get swept, it's pretty much a lock. They will be sellers because they will be out of it. If they were to sweep, which they can't sweep the White Sox, I don't think the changing of the colors of the Sox and going on the road is going to change anything. They do sweep, things get interesting. Use the Subway Series and then Nationals. Maybe you're within 5 games. Then this final week before the deadline gets interesting. But really, at this point, just win the series. Sweeping it just looks unrealistic for this team. But sweep, or 2 out of 3, take 2 from the Yanks, 3 out of 4 Nats, and that'll put you right around 500. And then we'll see what happens on July 31st and August 1st and that trade deadline. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Me and Nelson Figueroa will be back on Monday morning after that Red Sox series. It's Sunday Night Baseball. Enjoy the series in Boston. If you're going, have a blast. Follow me on Twitter, and I'll let you know if I end up there. If not, enjoy the series in Boston. We'll talk to you Monday. And as always, let's go Mets.